After October 3rd, nothing will be the same. And if you're feeling this energy shift happening around you, it's not a coincidence. You've probably already noticed the signs: more intense dreams, unexpected changes in your relationships, opportunities appearing out of nowhere, or this strange sensation that something big is about to happen in your life. What most people don't realize is that these aren't random events. They're symptoms that you're in the middle of a quantum convergence that happens only a few times per decade. In the next few minutes, I'm going to reveal exactly why this specific date marks a transformation portal where the quantum field becomes extremely responsive to human consciousness. You'll discover how your own frequency is being recalibrated right now, and more importantly, how to use this window of opportunity to literally choose which timeline you want to experience moving forward. The reality you're living now is just one of the infinite possibilities available to you, but there's a specific moment where these timelines converge, creating a unique chance to make a quantum leap into a completely different version of your life. People who understand this process don't just change their circumstances, they change the entire frequency from which they operate. And reality has no choice but to align with this new vibration. You know, there's something fascinating about how transformation really works in this universe we're living in. Most people think change happens suddenly, like flipping a switch, but that's not quite how the quantum field operates. The truth is, every breakthrough you've ever experienced was already brewing in the invisible realm long before it showed up in your reality. It's like watching lightning strike. You see that brilliant flash for just a moment, but the energy has been building up in the atmosphere for hours, sometimes days. Let me tell you about this crazy period in my life back in 2018 when I felt completely lost and stuck. I was working at this soul-crushing corporate job. My relationship had just ended, and I was living paycheck to paycheck despite having 2 degrees. Every morning, I'd wake up feeling like I was trapped in someone else's life. You know that feeling? I kept applying for new jobs, going on dates, trying to force change to happen, but everything felt like pushing against a brick wall. My friends would say, "Just be patient." But patience felt like torture when nothing was moving. But here's what I didn't realize at the time. During those 8 months of apparent stagnation, there was this incredible transformation happening beneath the surface. My consciousness was reorganizing itself, my frequency was adjusting, and the universe was aligning all these synchronicities that I couldn't even perceive yet. I started having these vivid dreams about traveling to places I'd never been, meeting people I'd never seen before. My intuition was getting stronger, and I'd catch myself humming songs I'd never heard. It's like seeds germinating underground. You don't see any growth, but there's this whole universe of change happening in the dark. Then one random Tuesday in October, and I'll never forget this moment, I was sitting in a coffee shop during my lunch break, feeling particularly defeated, when this woman at the next table was talking on the phone about a job opening at her startup. Something inside me just knew I had to speak up. That conversation led to an interview, which led to the job that completely changed my trajectory. Within 3 months, I'd moved to a new city, met my current partner, and started earning more than I ever thought possible. The observer in me now recognizes that those stagnant months weren't wasted time. They were preparation time. Think about thunder and lightning for a moment. We hear the thunder after we see the flash, but they're part of the same energy event. The electromagnetic field builds tension, creates charge, and then releases it all in one brilliant moment. That's exactly how my personal transformation worked, and probably yours too. The energy had been accumulating in my consciousness, in my thoughts, in my emotional field, creating this invisible pressure until reality had no choice but to reorganize itself around my new frequency. What's really mind-blowing is that this process isn't random or chaotic. There's this incredible intelligence at work, orchestrating these shifts with precision that would make a Swiss watchmaker jealous. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, every moment of trust or doubt, it's all contributing to this invisible energy that's constantly reshaping your timeline. The field responds to your inner state like a mirror, reflecting back exactly what you're broadcasting, even when you're not consciously aware of what signal you're sending out. The integration of this understanding changes everything about how you approach life's apparent standstills. Instead of getting frustrated when things seem stuck, you start recognizing these periods as incubation phases. You begin to trust that something significant is brewing, even when your physical senses can't detect it yet. This shift in perspective alone creates a different vibration, and that new frequency starts attracting opportunities and synchronicities that match your elevated state of consciousness. But here's where it gets really interesting. And what I'm about to share with you about how time actually works might completely blow your mind. Here's something that might sound a bit crazy at first, but stick with me. Time isn't actually linear like we've been taught. Think of it more like an ocean, with multiple currents flowing in different directions at the same time. Each current represents a different timeline, a different possibility for your life, and most of the time, we're just drifting along without realizing we have the power to choose which current we want to ride. The universe operates on frequency, and certain moments act like convergence points where all these different timelines come together, creating opportunities for massive shifts in our reality. I discovered this firsthand during a meditation retreat I attended last year on 3 de Outubro, actually. I was sitting in silence for hours, and suddenly I had this vision of my life branching out like a tree with infinite possibilities. In one branch, I saw myself staying in my comfort zone, playing it safe. In another, I was traveling the world, writing books, speaking to audiences. Each timeline felt equally real, equally possible. It was like standing at Grand Central Station during rush hour. All these trains going to different destinations, and I had to choose which platform to walk toward. The fascinating thing about convergence points is that they're not accidents. They're moments when the quantum field becomes more malleable, more responsive to conscious intention. It's like when you're driving and you reach an intersection where 5 different roads meet. You have to make a choice, and that choice determines not just where you'll end up, but what you'll experience along the way. The energy builds up before these moments, creating synchronicities, dreams, and intuitive hits that are basically the universe's way of preparing you for the shift. What most people don't realize is that these timeline convergences happen all the time, but we're usually too busy or distracted to notice them. You know those moments when you get a random text from someone you haven't heard from in years, right at the moment you were thinking about them. Or when you're considering a major life change and suddenly you start seeing signs everywhere. The same book recommended by 3 different people, a song that perfectly captures your feelings playing on repeat, a job opportunity that seems tailor-made for you. That's not coincidence, that's coherence. The observer effect comes into play here in a big way. When you start paying attention to these patterns, when you begin to trust your intuition about which timeline feels most aligned, you literally start collapsing possibilities into reality. It's like tuning into a radio frequency. Once you find the right station, the music comes through crystal clear. Your consciousness becomes the antenna that picks up signals from your preferred timeline, and your actions become the steps that walk you toward that reality. The breakthrough happens when you realize you're not a victim of circumstances, but an active participant in creating your timeline. Every choice, every thought, every moment of trust or fear is a vote for which reality you want to experience. The field responds to your energy signature, and when you align with a particular frequency consistently, that timeline begins to manifest with increasing momentum. It's like the universe is constantly asking, which story do you want to live? And your inner state is your answer. Now here's where most people get tripped up, and what I'm about to reveal about the role of the observer might change everything you thought you knew about creating your reality. This is where things get really wild, and honestly, when I first learned about the observer effect, it completely flipped my understanding of reality upside down. In quantum physics, there's this mind-bending discovery that particles behave differently when they're being observed versus when they're not. But here's the kicker. This doesn't just apply to tiny particles in a lab somewhere. This principle is operating in your life right now, every single moment. What you choose to focus on, what you give your attention to, literally shapes the reality you experience. You're not just witnessing your life unfold, you're actively creating it through the act of observation. I'll never forget this moment last summer when I was driving to work, stuck in the usual morning traffic. I was running late, stressed out, and naturally focusing on all the red lights, slow drivers, and construction zones. My reality was confirming exactly what I was observing. Delay after delay, frustration after frustration. Then I caught myself in this pattern and decided to shift my focus. Instead of looking for problems, I started noticing the beautiful sunrise, the fact that my favorite song was playing on the radio, how the trees looked so green and alive. Within minutes, traffic started moving. I caught 3 green lights in a row, and I actually arrived at work 5 minutes early. Same road, same time, completely different reality. Your consciousness works like a camera lens, constantly deciding what to bring into focus and what to leave blurred in the background. The crazy part is that whatever you focus on expands and amplifies in your field of experience. When you're worried about money, suddenly you notice every expense, every bill, every conversation about financial struggle. When you're focused on opportunities, you start seeing possibilities everywhere. Job postings that seem perfect for you, investment ideas, people offering collaborations. The universe isn't playing favorites. It's simply responding to the frequency of your observation. Think about those moments when you learned a new word or heard about a particular car model for the first time. Suddenly you start seeing that word or car everywhere, right? That's your reticular activating system, the part of your brain that filters information, adjusting to your new point of focus. The same thing happens with opportunities, relationships, and breakthrough moments. Once you start consciously observing for transformation, for alignment, for synchronicity, your reality begins reorganizing itself around those focal points. It's like switching from a telescope focused on distant problems to a microscope examining present possibilities. The transformation happens when you realize that your thoughts aren't just passive commentary about your life. They're active instructions to the quantum field about what you want to experience. Every time you think, nothing ever works out for me, you're programming your consciousness to observe and create more evidence of that reality. But when you shift to, I'm always in the right place at the right time, your observer begins noticing and attracting circumstances that confirm this new truth. The field is neutral. It simply amplifies whatever signal you're broadcasting most consistently. Here's what really blew my mind. You can actually feel this shift happening in your body when you change your point of observation. Last week I was stressing about a project deadline, and I could feel the tension in my shoulders, the tightness in my chest. Then I consciously shifted my focus from I don't have enough time to everything is unfolding perfectly. Within seconds, my body relaxed, my breathing deepened, and suddenly creative solutions started flowing. The coherence between my thoughts and my physical state created a new reality where the project practically completed itself. The universe responds to your entire energetic signature, not just your thoughts. But here's where it gets even more fascinating. Your body isn't just along for the ride in this transformation process. What I'm about to share about your internal guidance system will change how you navigate every decision for the rest of your life. Your body is way smarter than you've been led to believe. It's actually this incredible energetic compass that's constantly communicating with the quantum field and sending you signals about alignment and transformation. Most people think of their body as just this physical vessel, but the truth is, it's your most sophisticated guidance system for navigating reality. Your heart, your gut, and your mind are in constant communication, creating this triangle of intelligence that can detect shifts in frequency long before your logical brain catches up. When you learn to listen to these signals, decision-making becomes effortless because your body literally knows which path leads to your highest timeline. I learned this lesson the hard way about 3 years ago when I was offered what seemed like the perfect job opportunity on paper. Better salary, prestigious company, all the external markers of success. But every time I thought about accepting it, I felt this heavy sensation in my chest, like someone was placing a weight on my heart. My gut would tighten up, and I'd get this subtle anxiety that I couldn't explain logically. Meanwhile, my mind was telling me I'd be crazy to turn down such an offer. I almost ignored these body signals because they didn't make rational sense, but something deeper told me to trust what I was feeling. Instead, I followed this other opportunity that paid less, but felt expansive in my body. My heart would actually flutter with excitement when I imagined myself there. My breathing would deepen, and I'd get this warm sensation in my solar plexus. That lesser opportunity turned out to be the breakthrough that completely transformed my life. The company I almost joined laid off half their staff 6 months later, while the path I chose led to incredible growth, amazing relationships, and opportunities I never could have imagined. My body knew something my mind couldn't calculate. It was reading the energy signature of each timeline and guiding me toward the one that matched my true frequency. Think about those moments when you meet someone new and instantly feel either drawn to them or slightly uncomfortable even before they say a word. That's your energetic field picking up information and communicating it through physical sensations. Your heart rate might increase around someone who's aligned with your path, or you might feel a subtle contraction when someone's energy doesn't match yours. These aren't random reactions. They're your internal guidance system, reading the coherence between different energy signatures and letting you know which interactions will support your transformation. The fascinating thing is that emotions aren't just feelings. They're actually data about your alignment with your authentic self and your desired reality. When you feel joy, excitement, or peace, your body is telling you, yes, this frequency matches your true nature. When you feel anxiety, frustration, or heaviness, it's saying, this path takes you away from your authentic timeline. Most people try to logic their way through decisions, but your body is processing information from the quantum field in real time, giving you immediate feedback about which choices serve your highest evolution. The integration happens when you start treating your body as a trusted advisor, rather than something to override with willpower. Before making any significant decision now, I'll sit quietly and imagine each option while paying attention to how my body responds. Does my breathing become shallow or deep? Do my shoulders tense up or relax? Does my heart feel open or contracted? This isn't woo-woo stuff, it's practical wisdom. Your nervous system is constantly scanning for safety, opportunity, and alignment, sending you signals through physical sensations that are more accurate than any pros and cons list you could make. What I'm about to share next might sound too good to be true, but when you discover how to create coherence between all these internal systems, manifestation stops being something you do and becomes something that happens naturally through you. Here's where everything clicks into place, and honestly, this is the secret that changed my entire approach to creating the life I wanted. When your mind, heart, and body are all aligned and working in harmony, what scientists call coherence, manifestation, stops being this struggle where you're trying to force things to happen. Instead, it becomes as natural as breathing. Think of it like a symphony orchestra where every musician is perfectly in tune and following the same conductor. When that happens, the music flows effortlessly, creating something beautiful without strain or force. That's exactly what your life becomes when all your internal systems are coherent. I discovered this during one of the most challenging periods of my life, about 2 years ago, when I was trying to manifest a specific relationship and a career change simultaneously. I was doing all the right things, visualizing, affirming, working hard, but there was this constant internal battle happening. My mind would say, yes, I want this. But my heart felt uncertain, and my body was tense with worry. It was like trying to drive a car with one foot on the gas and the other on the brake. Nothing flowed smoothly, and I felt exhausted from all the effort I was putting in with so little to show for it. Then I stumbled across this simple practice that completely shifted everything. Instead of focusing on what I wanted to create externally, I started focusing on creating internal alignment first. Every morning I'd spend just 10 minutes in silence, breathing deeply and asking my heart what it truly desired, asking my body what felt most aligned, and asking my mind to support rather than control the process. Within a week, I noticed this profound shift. I felt calmer, more centered, and strangely, opportunities started appearing without me chasing them. The relationship I'd been trying to force materialized naturally when I stopped pushing, and the career opportunity showed up through a random conversation at a coffee shop. The breakthrough comes when you realize that the universe doesn't respond to your desperation or your effort. It responds to your frequency, your energetic signature. When there's coherence between what you think, feel, and embody, you become like a tuning fork that's vibrating at the exact frequency of what you desire. Reality has no choice but to match that vibration, because that's how quantum mechanics works. It's not about believing harder or wanting more intensely. It's about achieving this state of aligned flow, where all parts of you are moving in the same direction. Think about those moments when you've experienced what athletes call being in the zone. Maybe you were playing a sport, having a conversation, or working on a project, and everything just flowed perfectly. Time seemed to slow down. You weren't thinking about what to do next. You were just being and doing simultaneously. That's coherence in action. Your conscious mind stepped out of the way, your intuition took the lead, and your body followed effortlessly. In those moments, you weren't trying to create magic. You were magic, operating from this unified field of consciousness. The practical application is surprisingly simple, though it requires consistency. Start your day with just 5 minutes of what I call coherence breathing. Slow, deep breaths, while consciously connecting your heart's wisdom with your mind's clarity and your body's intelligence. Ask yourself, what does alignment feel like in my body right now? Let that feeling expand. Throughout the day, check in with this state. When you notice tension, stress, or internal conflict, pause and breathe until you find that coherent frequency again. From this state, make your decisions, take your actions, and watch how reality responds differently. Now, you might be wondering how you'll know when this transformation is actually happening in your life. What I'm about to share about the signs and symptoms of energetic shift might surprise you. Some of them might be happening to you right now. Let me tell you something that might sound strange at first. When you're going through a major energetic transformation, your life might actually seem to get a bit chaotic before it gets better. These aren't signs that something's wrong. They're actually symptoms that the shift is working. Your consciousness is upgrading, and just like when you update your phone's software, there might be some temporary glitches while everything recalibrates to the new frequency. The field around you is reorganizing itself, and this process shows up in very specific, recognizable ways that most people misinterpret as problems instead of progress. About 6 months ago, I started having the most vivid, intense dreams I'd ever experienced in my life. We're talking full-color, cinematic experiences that felt more real than my waking hours sometimes. I'd wake up feeling like I'd lived entire lifetimes overnight. At first, I thought something was wrong with me. Maybe I was stressed, maybe I needed better sleep hygiene. But then I realized these dreams were actually downloads, my consciousness processing new information and possibilities that were becoming available to me. Around the same time, my sleep patterns completely shifted. I'd been a solid 8-hour sleeper my entire adult life, but suddenly I was naturally waking up after 6 hours, feeling completely refreshed and energized. The really interesting part was how my appetite and food preferences started changing too. Foods that I'd loved for years suddenly tasted bland or even unappetizing, while I found myself craving things I'd never been interested in before. More fresh vegetables, specific types of herbal teas, foods that seemed to match this new frequency I was embodying. It was like my body was automatically adjusting to support this higher vibration. And here's something that might sound familiar. My tolerance for certain people and situations completely shifted. Conversations that used to feel normal now felt draining, while I found myself naturally gravitating toward people who matched this new energy I was cultivating. This is where it gets really fascinating. The universe has this incredible way of clearing your field of anything that doesn't match your new frequency. People who were once close friends might start feeling distant or even create drama that leads to natural separation. It's not personal, it's energetic. Meanwhile, new opportunities start appearing seemingly out of nowhere. You might get a random phone call about a job you never applied for, or bump into someone at the grocery store who mentions exactly the opportunity you've been dreaming about. These aren't coincidences. They're synchronicities, signs that you're aligning with a different timeline. Your intuition becomes stronger and more accurate during these shifts. You might find yourself knowing things without knowing how you know them. The phone rings, and you know who's calling before you look. You change your route to work and later discover there was an accident on your usual path. You get a sudden urge to check your email and find an important message that just arrived. This isn't psychic ability developing. It's your natural connection to the quantum field strengthening as your coherence increases and static from your old patterns clears away. The physical symptoms can be pretty intense too, and this is where a lot of people get scared and think something's wrong. You might experience changes in your energy levels throughout the day, sudden hot or cold flashes, tingling sensations, or even flu-like symptoms that come and go without any apparent cause. I went through a phase where I'd get these intense waves of emotion, not related to anything happening in my life, just energy moving through my system. It was like my body was releasing years of stored patterns and making room for new frequencies. The key is recognizing these as upgrade symptoms, not health problems. But here's the most beautiful part of this whole transformation process. And what I'm about to share might completely change how you see yourself and your journey. Here's the beautiful truth that most people miss about transformation. You're not trying to become someone completely different. You're not broken and in need of fixing. What's actually happening is this incredible process of integration, where all the scattered pieces of who you've always been are finally coming together to reveal the masterpiece you were meant to be. It's like you've been living as fragments of yourself, playing different roles, hiding different aspects, and now the universe is calling all those pieces home. The change isn't about adding something new to yourself. It's about removing everything that isn't authentically you. I realized this during a quiet moment last winter when I was looking through old photos of myself from different periods of my life. In one picture, I was this creative, adventurous person exploring new places. In another, I was the responsible, organized professional. In yet another, I was the spiritual seeker, deep in meditation and personal growth. For years, I thought these were different versions of me, like I had to choose which identity to embody. But suddenly it hit me. These weren't separate people. They were all aspects of my true self that I'd compartmentalized because I thought they couldn't coexist. The integration was about embracing all of these facets simultaneously, creating wholeness instead of fragmentation. This process happens so quietly, so naturally, that you might not even notice it at first. You'll find yourself responding to situations with a wisdom you didn't know you had. Challenges that used to trigger intense emotional reactions now feel manageable, not because you're suppressing anything, but because you're accessing a deeper part of yourself that knows how to navigate with grace. It's like you've been driving with only one gear, and suddenly you discover you have access to the full transmission. The same car, the same engine, but now you can handle any terrain with ease and efficiency. Think about a mosaic that's been scattered across the floor. Hundreds of beautiful colored pieces that individually don't seem to make much sense. But when you start placing them together in their proper arrangement, this stunning image emerges that was always there waiting to be revealed. That's exactly what's happening to you right now. Every experience you've had, every skill you've developed, every challenge you've overcome, every moment of joy you've felt, they're all pieces of this larger picture of who you truly are. The integration is about seeing how perfectly everything fits together. The transformation shows up in the most ordinary moments. You're having a conversation with a colleague, and words come out of your mouth that surprise even you with their wisdom and clarity. You're facing a decision that would have paralyzed you with anxiety before, but now you feel this calm knowing about which direction to take. You look in the mirror and see not just your physical reflection, but this whole, complete being who's been there all along, finally free to express fully. The energy feels different, not forced or manufactured, but natural and sustainable. What's remarkable is that this integration doesn't require you to give up anything that's truly part of you. Instead, it shows you what never belonged in the first place. The limiting beliefs, the people-pleasing patterns, the fear-based decisions that you thought were protecting you, but were actually keeping you small. As these fall away, what remains is pure authenticity. You stop trying to fit into boxes that others created for you and start living from this centered place where all your gifts, all your wisdom, all your love can flow freely without conflict or contradiction. The moment you fully embrace this integrated version of yourself, reality begins to mirror back this new coherence. Opportunities align with your true nature, relationships become more authentic and fulfilling, and life starts feeling like a creative collaboration with the universe rather than a constant struggle against it. You realize that you were never meant to choose between being spiritual or practical, creative or logical, ambitious or peaceful. You were meant to be all of it, simultaneously, beautifully, completely. And now that you understand how this transformation works from the inside out, you're probably wondering what comes next in your own journey of awakening. If you've made it this far, it wasn't by accident. You're not just a spectator watching this video. You're an active part of this collective transformation process that's happening across the entire planet right now. Your consciousness is already tuned into this new frequency, and the simple fact that you're here absorbing this information means you've been chosen to be part of this wave of change that's forming. Critical mass has already been reached. After October 3rd, nothing will be the same. And you, who had the courage to question, to seek, to remain open to these truths, you're part of the new reality that's emerging. There's no going back. You can't unknow what you've just discovered. Now I need you to do something very important. In the comments, write one word that symbolizes your commitment to this transformation. It could be, I choose, I'm ready, breakthrough, trust. Any word that resonates with your soul in this moment. This comment isn't just text, it's an energetic signature in the collective quantum field, a vote that you're aligned with this new timeline. Like this video, to amplify this energy. Share it with someone you know needs to hear this, and subscribe to the channel because what's coming next will complete this awakening journey. You did not end up here by accident. Your quantum consciousness has just been activated now,